All right, everybody, welcome to another installment of the Urban Gardener's Top 10. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe down below. Today's list are top 10 indoor seed starting tips. And starting our list off at number 10, know when to sow your seeds. Not all seeds need to be sown at the same time, so find out whether or not the crop you're trying to grow is a cool weather or warm weather crop. Because your cool weather crops can be transplanted out into the garden a lot sooner than your warm weather crops. If you are transplanting warm weather crops, like our peppers here, have a good plan for them to stay indoors for several weeks, as they can't be planted until later in the season. Which brings us to number 9 on our list. Know your last frost date. Your last frost date is going to be a great tool for knowing when you're going to be able to sow your seeds indoors. Like I said, with the cooler weather crops, they're going to be able to go out into the garden a lot sooner. In fact, several weeks before your last frost date. As with our peppers though, like I said, you're going to want an indoor plan because they're not going to be able to go into the garden until after our last frost date. And at number 8, use a seed starting mix versus a potting soil or a garden soil mix that you can get at your garden center. You can purchase your seed starting mix there at the garden center, or you can easily make some yourself. Now I'm going to put a link down below in the description to a video of how I make my own seed starting mix. Now mine consists of cocoa coir and vermiculite. I add a little bit of worm castings, but you could also use peat moss or perlite as well as substitutes. And at number 7, you want to start wet. You want your seed starting mix to be really moist when you're sowing out your seeds. For one, it helps those seeds to germinate a little bit quicker, and 2, it really helps absorb that water when you're watering out your seedlings, unlike dry soil. If you know dry soil, it really repels water. Which leads us to number 6, watering. You're going to want to water from the bottom. That's why we're starting with a very moist seed starting mix, so that your seedlings can wick up the water from the bottom. You don't want to direct water your seedlings because you don't want to disturb those really young root systems in there and splash around a bunch of fungus and different bacteria that could be on top of your soil there as these young seedlings are starting to emerge. You also don't want to drown them either, so make sure that you're not letting them sit in water for too long if they're not soaking up the water. And to be sure that you're not drowning your seedlings, number 5, drainage. Make sure that whatever container you're using to sow your seeds has good proper drainage in order to allow that seed soil mix to be able to release whatever water it cannot hold on to. And if you're using one of the seed trays like I have back here, leave one of the cells open in the corner. That way you have access to be able to water the seed tray and see what level the water's at so that you're not over watering your seedlings. Number 4, labeling. Like the last tip about leaving the seed cell in the tray open, I got this tip from Gardener Scott. I'm going to leave a link to his channel down in the description below. He uses a chart and number system for labeling his seedlings. Now when you're using these 72 seed cell trays, you can make a nice graph of 72 different spaces and then make a list of the different crops that you're growing and then number them. Then when you plan out your seeds in the different seed cells, just write down the number corresponding to the vegetable or fruit that you're growing in that cell. Now, I usually use craft sticks and Sharpies and make up a ton of different labels for my seedlings. This saves a ton of time. All right, down to the top 3. At number 3 is temperature. I see a lot of different videos out there where people are recommending utilizing some sort of heating method in order to help your seeds germinate faster. Now when it comes to that, I really only do that for peppers. Peppers are just temperamental when it comes to germination, so the heating method really does help to get them to germinate faster. Now you can go to a garden center and buy one of those heating mats, which which I can find can be pretty costly, or you could do what I do and just use some inexpensive Christmas lights. They provide just the right amount of heat for your seed trays to help those along. But for the most part, like I said, everything else, because these are the only thing I do, even my warmer weather crops like eggplant or tomato, I just use at room temperature. Now down below, I've got cooler weather crops there. And the room temperature could be even warm for them. So when they start to emerge and come out from the soil, I'm going to want to try to get them outside as soon as possible into one of my small greenhouses. And at number 2 is lighting. Lighting is really important for indoor seed starts. You're going to want to provide some sort of artificial light. It doesn't have to be much. Right here in my seed station, I've got basic T12 shop lights. They're daylight with the highest lumen value I can find. As soon as my seedlings emerge, I get those lights right down on top of them. Now, with some of those cold weather crops that I got down below, those seeds are really tiny and they're sown just below the surface. And they're going to need light as soon as possible. So I don't keep them out of the light when I first sow them for any more than just a day or two. I want when those seedlings pop open and those seedlings start to come up to be able to find light as soon as possible so that they don't stretch out looking for it. Then again, that's when you get those really leggy seedlings. And now down to our number 1 indoor seed starting tip. It's airflow. Airflow is another important thing for indoor seeds. They're not outdoors getting all that really good wind blowing around in order to get some good circulation around. So indoors, you're going to want to make for some sort of artificial wind, easily provided by a fan set on low. And what I do is I use one of those timers to have them go off intermittently every half an hour or so in order to give those young seedlings a good amount of air circulation. For one, it helps them and their stems and root systems to get nice and strong. Also, create some airflow and air circulation to avoid with some fungal problems like dampening off, which can be a real problem for some of those seedlings when we're starting our seeds indoors. Thank you very much for joining us again today for another Top 10 here on the Urban Gardener. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please hit the thumbs up button and give this video a like. Get down below in the comments section and let me know what you think. Or if you have any other indoor seed starting tips of your own, please share with all of us. And don't forget, subscribe to our channel, follow along with more garden adventures as we continue growing here on the Urban Gardener. See you again soon.